let's move on to our fourth and final main topic today. And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Clubber T. Lang, who writes, "Hey, John, the Hollywood Reporter is stating that The Batman has moved to October 2021, just a week before Uncharted is due for release. With all the behind-the-scenes issues and The Batman conservatively making $60 to $180 million in its second weekend, is Uncharted doomed to the video movie curse before it has even been released? I know you say 2 weeks between movies is fine, but opening a week after a movie like Batman has to be another problem. Thanks, and stay safe." All right, thanks a lot for sending in that question, man. And yeah, as we just talked about in the previous topic, of course, Batman has been moved to October 1st of 2021. That is just 1 week before the release of Uncharted. An Uncharted movie that seems to have been cursed. They've been trying for years to get this movie together and get it rolling, and it seemed like they finally had their plans in place. As a matter of fact, they were on set. They were on set of day one of shooting, ready to shoot Uncharted when everything got shut down as a result of the COVID-19 stuff. I mean, and now they've got the new dates. They're ready to roll, all this kind of stuff. And now they find out that Batman is going to open 1 week before it. Now, generally speaking, Rob, you would hope to see a second weekend box office drop-off of about 50%. If you get a 50% second week drop-off, you're doing really well. Anywhere between 50 and 60, and you're doing fine. You're fine if you're doing between 50 and 60 drop-off. For much, much bigger films, sometimes you see a bigger drop-off than that, mostly because if it's a really huge film, a lot of people rush out to see it week one, and they've already seen it, and so there's fewer people left over to go and see it week two. And that's fine. But Rob, they're not wrong. Because if Batman can make, say, 150 million opening weekend, which is not a crazy number for a movie like Batman. And again, this will all depend on its marketing and how good it looks and all that kind of stuff. But still, if this movie looks like a good Batman movie, then it's not unreasonable to think $150 million opening weekend is completely within the realm of possibility, completely reasonable to think. As such, you're looking at a second weekend of probably 65, 70, 75 million dollars in its second weekend. If you're Uncharted, hell, if you're any movie opening up on a weekend, what you don't want to have is a movie going into its second weekend that is still standing to make $70 million on its weekend and gobbling up a lot of the movie-going audience in your second week. This isn't a good situation for Uncharted. And I'll go so far as to say this. It's also not an ideal situation, Rob, for Batman. I mean, if you're Batman, you know your second week other movies are going to be opening up. You know this if you're Batman. But you'd rather it not be a huge tentpole film like Uncharted. Uncharted is a tremendously popular video game IP. I don't think it's going to be nearly as big as Batman, but it's going to be a significant movie. It's going to be a significant movie. And if you're Batman, you wouldn't really want to have that on your second week, threatening how much of that precious second weekend money you can get. It's not an ideal situation for anybody. It's not an ideal situation for anybody. But the question is, Rob, who is it a less ideal situation for? That really becomes a question. Who is this least good for? Because I think there's a couple ways of looking at this. I see there being a couple options. Number one, the two movies keep the date and one comes out on top. And for my money, I think it's clear. I think Uncharted can do well, but it's not going to do as well as Batman. Now, this is, of course, assuming, Rob, that both movies look good. Like by the time we get into 2021 and we start seeing the marketing and all that kind of stuff, that both movies look good. So let's assume for a second they both look good. I don't think there's any question. I think Batman wins that battle. And I think the least desirable position is that of Uncharted. And I think they're going to suffer. I still think they can do well, but I think they're not going to do nearly as well as their potential if they're opening 1 week after Batman. Well, then that leaves two other choices. Does Batman decide, you know what, we moved to this date, but it doesn't look like Uncharted's moving. We'd probably do better if we move to another date. I mean, we'll beat Uncharted, but Uncharted will do more, will do some damage to our box office, and we're going to move to another date. Or Uncharted goes, holy crap, no one's going to come to see our opening weekend if Batman's going into its second week. Heaven forbid if Batman's great. If Batman's great and it gets word of mouth and people are buzzing about it, it's going to be tough for Uncharted to stand in there. So another option is that Uncharted moves. So Rob, let me ask you this question. A couple of different scenarios. Number one, they both open. Which one does better? Or does one of them move? And if one of them moves, who moves? How do you see this October of 2021 shaking out?
Well, first of all, Uncharted is a video game movie. And it's not like video game movies. We've had one that's grossed $1 billion, whereas there's been a $1 billion Batman movie. I think there's a lot of interest in this Batman movie. I think there's less interest in an Uncharted film. Obviously, I love the Uncharted franchise. I think it's a great video game franchise. And if they make a kick-ass Uncharted movie, then I think, okay. But the thing about the Uncharted franchise is it's not like it's some groundbreaking, it's action that we've seen before. It's Tomb Raider-esque. It's Raiders-esque. It's something that is not, it could be kick-ass and awesome, and I hope it is. But, treasure hunting in the jungles, all right, that could be cool. But Batman has proven time and time again that it always has audience interest. It's multi-generations. He's been around for decades, but people still think he's kick-ass. And so I think opening a movie like Uncharted close to Batman, which, by the way, is cannibalizing the audience from Batman, or Batman is cannibalizing its audience, however you want to look at it, is risky. I don't think I would want to open my video game adaptation a week after Batman. Batman himself with the Arkham games is also king of the video game circuit. So you've got gamers and Batman fans who are going to go see Batman. And I think it's a dangerous thing. However, like you said, if movies look good, if movies are good and people know they're good, if they come out with a kick-ass Uncharted trailer and they make a movie where everyone's like, oh man, I got to see that, then I don't think it's so much of a problem. It's still going to be a box office problem because there is no way that, I don't care what movie you're opening, unless it's like Endgame and 2, if a Marvel said, you know what, we just made a Secret Avengers movie and we're going to drop it on the same weekend as, then maybe, Batman would be threatened, or maybe Infinity War 2, the special secret movie we made. But no other movie is going to outgross Batman its second weekend. And regardless, Uncharted is going to be hurt at the box office by opening a week after Batman opens. And I think Uncharted should move.
Well, that's got to be one of the options there. So you know what, guys? I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day, and I put it to you guys. I simply asked, all right, if these goes head to head, does this one win, does that one win, or does this one move, or does that one move? Let's go over and take a look at this. So I put this up just before we started the show. I put this poll up on my Twitter. Almost 2,000 of you guys have cast your votes on this, and I simply asked, question of the day. With Batman moving to October of 2021, that means that Uncharted and Batman will open just 1 week apart. Which of these two anticipated movies wins out? Or do you think one movie will move? And this is an overwhelming avalanche win, because 63.8% of you say they'll stay the same, they'll stay on those dates, and Batman will win. 31.9% of you are saying that we won't even come to that because Uncharted is going to move. In the Uncharted side, only 1.8% of you guys think that Batman will move. And if they don't move, only 2.7% of you guys think that Uncharted can win that week in October. So that's what we've got in the poll. I'm going to leave that up for the next 24 hours. Guys, what do you think about that? How do you think about these two really popular IPs going head to head? Do you think they'll both keep their dates? And if they do, which one wins? Or do you think one of them will move? If so, which one dives out first? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.